Welcome to the downside. I'm in a bad mood, and that's good. That's good for this podcast. I'm here with Russell Daniels. Hello, Russell.
Hi, Gianmarco.
We're doing some Wi-Fi stuff.
Yeah,
you know exactly why I'm
shit.
fucking stressed, because I just landed from fucking Vancouver. I think I got another goddamn sty in my eye. Here's the deal, folks. We have a couple episodes coming up. Space them out as best we can, where Russell is not on it. And, I know it feels a little different. It probably, you go, this one in particular, you're going to go, are we seriously talking about your dad again? Yeah. Yeah, we are. Me and Beth Stelling, we're comparing dads. But we're trying this out. I thought, listen, don't worry. I'm going back to New York. Russell's going to be here. We're going to do some on the road. But I wanted to add this so we could do a little update. You could hear Russell's voice. I promise I'll let him speak in just 1 second. And it's good. Also, we were just in Vancouver, and we have decided we're going to upload kind of a condensed version of all our live shows. We have with this tour coming up soon that's almost sold out. We did Toronto, we did Vancouver, we're doing Austin. So we're going to put those full shows full because we take out, some stuff, make it nice and tight, and bits that are recurring, and we're gonna put it on the Patreon. So if you join the Patreon, separate from the bonus Patreon episodes every month, you get to access these full live shows, just the video, because it's not, you don't want to listen. It's more visual. There's more audience participation, but it's great. It's beautiful. We'll put out clips, but join the Patreon for that. Patreon.com/downside. Russell,
Yeah.
I figure we jump right into what I want to talk about, and it was oh boy, Russell
Oh, boy.
and I, we had a Monday night on the town. You can hear it in my voice. We
Yeah.
had a time.
We had a time. Listen, now you're gonna say this is not how you live your life because you normally go out after a show, but let me tell you, my friend, I didn't know that the road was like that. I didn't know the tales of drugs, sex, and debauchery were real. I mean, listen,
We found out together. Because I don't go out normally.
We didn't nothing bad. We didn't do anything bad. But what was shocking was this.
Guys, watch this online so you can see Russell and I wink at each other at that part where we said we didn't do anything bad.
Well, no, but the thing is, what's funny is we had an relatively early show, 7 p.m. show. So then the plan was we'll go back to the hotel, shower, because we were wearing green makeup for a horrible bit that didn't work twice in a row, and then we'll have an easy night because both of us, are tired, and we'll be home by midnight, that kind of thing. We're gonna go to a jazz club, so nothing crazy.
Yeah.
We get to the jazz club. It's not really a jazz club. It's playing music. That's not jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and also we smoked a little pot before we went in.
Well, Russell, we did not smoke a little pot. We downed a joint.
Yeah.
This festival had a lot of free weed and free mushrooms. And unfortunately, you go there for 2 days, and then you got to go back over the border, and you're like, well, I'm too scared. Trump is not helping me out of a Canadian prison. I'll tell you that. I got to be careful.
No. Well, but before any of the crazy stuff happened, so we're high sitting there.
Yes.
I think one of the hardest I've laughed in maybe the
Biggest
last 5
laughs.
years.
I've been thinking about what's the best way to explain it to people in a way that they might laugh too, and I'm not sure.
I know. I'm not sure either because we were so on the same page. So we're high. We're sitting there watching the thing. We just put in our order of our drinks. So
tell them how we in the order of us experiencing it. I think.
Oh, okay. I thought we experienced it at the same time in my
No,
mind.
I agree. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
don't give away to the audience.
Oh no, I won't.
What?
I won't.
Okay.
I won't.
Okay.
So we put our order in for our drinks. Seemingly 5-10 minutes later, the woman comes back. Same drink. Yeah. We ordered the same drink. The woman comes back with a really two nice cups, look the same. She puts them down. We're like, oh, our drinks are here. We're really excited. We kind of look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, this is nice being together.
We cheersed.
We cheersed. Yeah, we did. We cheers. We both take a sip at the exact same time, and we both kind of like sit there like feeling what that feels like to have that first drink of the cocktail, and we both at the same time realize this is just waters.
No. Oh, you fucked it. No, here's exactly how it happened. So we took a sip, at least in my mind, I took a sip and I was like, it was a second of like, man, this tequila drink is really plain. This tequila drink is really plain. And then it's just that we both looked at each other like, and in like a comically like, what the fuck is this? And then Russell like right away realized right after that, it's water. And I was like, oh, it's water. And we laughed hard.
We both thought it was really watered. Like we both had that thing of like, ooh, we're taking our first sip. And we both were like, huh.
Oh, this is a terrible drink.
It's a bad
so
drink.
Plain.
And then we looked and we're like, oh, how could we not have realized it was water the whole time? It made me laugh because it really was like a mirror. It was like we both had the exact same reactions the whole step of it.
We died, and then so it was like, you know, it was good music, enjoyable music. I'm a big talker, and sometimes I'd be like, okay, Russell wants to listen, we'll sit. So we were like going in and out of talking, listening.
Well, and I was high too, and you know me, like I have a harder time talking when I'm high. So then some fans came over that had been at the show.
Yes.
That's
a guy came over and he said, my boyfriend's a big fan. He said like he was a bartender and there was a secret menu that we were going to get that was for like people who are in the bartending industry, like I guess cheaper or special drinks. And Russell was like, "Oh, well, not in that." And he says, "No, you worked at club. You're a crew, you're staff." And I was like, "Cool. This is what I say. I have real jobs." And but you know, he offered that, and then he was like, "Can my partner come over and talk to you?" And it was like, "Yes." He's like, "Hey, here's a secret menu. Now you have to talk to my boyfriend for 10 minutes." Yeah. And we said, "Okay, we're in a good mood. Yeah. So then he comes over, we smile, we take a picture, we talk. It's a nice time.
Yeah, great time.
And then a lady came over. And listened to me. It's only because Russ was there that she just sat down at the table. Sat down.
Wait. What happens if you're at that table alone? You're pushing her away? What happens?
First of all, I'm not at that music club. I've never dealt with this in my life, so I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But I did feel like as she was talking to me, I had my hand on you as if like, well, that means we're both maybe doing something bad. So we're just
talking. Can I tell you?
We're just
talking. She, clearly is a fan, Gianmarco. I don't know.
I don't know if she's a fan or she just wanted to. I couldn't tell if she was a fan.
I couldn't either.
We also discussed she might have been a sex worker.
That's what I was wondering if that was maybe the thing.
But to be fair, a sex worker usually doesn't turn to one of their potential clients and go, "I'm sorry, I'm not attracted to you."
No, she didn't say it like that.
What'd she say?
She would just keep like, she was definitely like hitting on you, and then every so often she would turn to me and be like, "And you're attractive too," but in a way that was like, I'm not the primary thing of this moment. But here's what I think maybe sex worker, because the end of it we kind of were like polite and she went her way, and then after we left, we were outside waiting for our Uber and she came out again, and like we were like waiting for the Uber and she came out, and this is where I thought the sex worker thing, because she was like still kind of trying, and she was just kind of like, "Well, I thought we could have all had some fun tonight." And I was like, we all could have had fun. Like, what is the scenario here? Like, am I just watching, or am I,
Sure.
what's the, what was the, it was, that's why I was like, oh, maybe it was just she was trying to get some work.
Yeah, but she was talking, but even when we were done, even when we made clear, listen, I made clear up front, I said right away, I got a girlfriend. Yeah. She asked if we were together, and in retrospect, I think in the future, I'm going to say yes. I think I'm just going to say yes, because it was like,
it makes it easier.
Because then it's like, to experience it together was funny, but then it just kept going and going and going. Yeah. You couldn't even hear what she was saying. And
having a girlfriend, having a wife wasn't really enough of a thing to stop talking. It was like, because then probably people say that, and then they're still like, well, I can cheat, you know.
Well, then she asked how long. And it's just like a degree of it. Like if I said 6 months, she'd be like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
But then what was so funny? So she left the table, and then the guy came over, the original guy, and he said to you, what did he say to you? He said, "Are you gay?" To you.
Yeah.
And you said no.
Yeah.
And what did he say? Because I had a joke that uses the term "straggot."
He said, "So you're both."
That.
He said, "So
straight.
you're both." He said, "So you're both straggots then," and I said, "Yeah,
yeah, that's us."
Yeah.
That was the original name of the podcast, Two Straggots. And if we ever change the name, so it's both of us, it's Two Straggots, Gianmarco and Russell. And then he offered us cocaine. He offered us cocaine. He said, "You want to do some blow?" Which let me tell you, I have so rarely in my life been offered cocaine. Maybe 3 times in my whole life. I'm just not there.
Yeah.
And then what did he say to me? He said, I said, "No, thank you." He said, "Really? You got the nose for it?" And I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, he did.
Whoa, I haven't heard that either in a long time. I'm in a new environment.
Yeah. You know, I do think it was funny that he was disappointed that we weren't gay, and then I feel like he again, like the woman, he had a backup plan. He said, "Let's get some coke in these two, these two guys, and see if that shakes anything loose." But it was scary to me. It was scary.
Which part was scary?
All of it. All of it. The fact that. Also, I think part of it, me being high, there was a bit of a like, oh no, I don't get high that often. And so there's a thing outside my control there. And then being like, oh, there's people from the show here that saw us. I'm high. So I was a little paranoid about seeming weird or seeming like unfriendly or like something, you know, like being like cold and being like, hey, also you're like, I'm like, it's not like, I don't know, because then you're like, I'm thinking too much about this. It's like we're not famous people. We're just here. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said to me, you're like, "Oh my God, is this what your life is like? Is that people coming up?" And I truly I almost always after a show go straight to my hotel and I listen back to my set. And I would never go to a music thing on my own. I would never get that drunk on my own. And if someone came up, talking to a stranger, I just don't have it in me, brother. I just don't have it in me without being able to look towards a friend and be like, "Oh my God, is this still going on? What the fuck?" And so it was so nice to be on the road with you.
It was nice, yeah.
You know, it's this weird thing on the road where like, you know, they gave us a bunch of free things, and then we had a sushi dinner yesterday, or sushi lunch yesterday, where, you know, we had to make some content, but we got this the best sushi in Vancouver, and it's just one of those things where if you don't do it with a friend, it's just like, fuck, I have no one to share it with, and I think this tour is coming up is good. I'm gonna push myself to go out. I loved getting stoned with you, and we got fucked up. We smoked a lot of joint.
We'll have to pick our spots, I think, for the tour. Like what cities we want to like do that in, what cities we're like, okay, I'm tired, let's go home. You know, that kind of thing.
I think you, me, and Paige, we're gonna get coked out. I mean, God, if we were more fun, think of how much funnier we'd be if we did that coke. And we were still there. We were doing this dead. Patreon from his house. We could be dead.
We could be dead. I mean, like if we had followed any of those like things that night, good Lord, we could have ended up coked out of our minds having a threesome together. You know, I mean,
a threesome, and one where you're watching, and then one where we're both participating. It would have been amazing. Here's what I love. Here's what I've noticed. This happened like twice, where like two women have hit on me, and they go like, you're so funny, I really like your comedy, and then afterwards, when it's a no, no thank you, they go like, she was like, oh well, I still would love to like follow you to like see a show sometime. They never follow through on that part. They never follow through. I love to meet a woman who's in it for the comedy, but nope. They just go, well, that they were just lying about it. It's just, I think it's that feeling of like, oh, you were lying. You pretended that you liked me as a person.
Yeah.
You don't even know my jokes.
You also had a fan that I thought, this is interesting. I wonder how often you get this. At the meet and greet, they were like, they're like, yeah, I'm coming back to the show tomorrow. And, I've seen you a bunch, so it'd be nice to see some new material. And and I'm like, I'm like, it's just so funny to imagine a comedian is going to be doing like 45 minutes of comedy to be like, that one person has seen every show of mine, so I got to make sure I do a whole new thing. It just was funny. You were like, because you politely were like, you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of new thing. But then she kept like kind of doubling, tripling down on being like, it's just like, it's a lot. I take the boat to get here, and so it's a real commitment for
she
me
wanted
to like
assurance
come,
that if she stayed, it would be worth her while.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I get it, but it's also just funny to like do it. It's really funny.
It's the things I don't want to confront anyone. I don't want to be rude. The only time that I'm activated, and listen, it might change at a certain point. Enough happens, or it happens in the wrong space. You're dealing with a crisis at home. Your dad's dying, and someone's like, "So how much new?" And you go, "Shut up, leave me alone." But for now, I'm nice. The only time that I feel like I'm honest is when someone sees me like right before I'm about to go on stage, like right before, and like, "Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture real quick?" And that's the only time that I go after the show, please. And that's the only time that they see the real me. But I'm nice. You're nice. We're both nice. I want you to be in with some more of these lines, just so you can see what you have to. And again, it's rare that any individual is like a nightmare. It's just so many. I think right now for me, it's the ones that it's like, I've had a couple. I got an Instagram message where it's like, I was about to kill myself. I had the gun in my mouth, and my finger was trembling on the trigger. But then one of your YouTube shorts came up, and I said, you know what? One more day. And I was like, Jesus Christ, which short was it?
Yeah.
Fucking A. What do I need to keep putting it out every day? Are you going to be okay? Do I need to get involved? That's stressful.
They should put it, instead of the suicide hotline, they should put a clip of your YouTube short.
Please, if you're experiencing suicidal thoughts, at Gianmarco Soresi, Gianmarco Soresi, or the Downside Patreon. So
my dog is wildly humping the pillow behind me.
Show, let's see the cat. Oh my God.
Stop.
He heard that story. He was like, you should have done that blow and fuck that guy, Russell. Jesus Christ. Grow some balls. I don't have any. Well, overall truth, be honest, you did a big trip for, you flew all the way to Vancouver. You did a red-eye back. You feeling good?
Let me tell you, I agreed to that before I knew. When you said Canada, I have proven time after time, I don't know that much about Canada. I forget that they have the Queen too. I forget things. So I think in my mind of the times I've gone to Toronto or Montreal, and I'm like, yeah, Vancouver, I'll go to a quick trip. I didn't realize, like, oh, you're going to Alaska.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
So I said yes, and then it wasn't until I was buying flights that I was like, what's going on here? I was like, two different flights, 9 hours of travel. What's happening? And then, thank God, speaking of kill myself, I was about to kill myself when I was like, I'm going to have to take 2 flights for a day show. And luckily I found that JetBlue that was direct. But it, yes, good on me for going, but I didn't realize, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And I really, every time we're doing the shows, I feel like they're getting better. I have so much fun doing it with you. And it really is nice to like go and do that and talk to these people and see real fans and hear from them because, you get nice comments and stuff, but it's nice to be in that setting with people who know the things and you can make a joke about the podcast and they get it. And it's really a good feeling.
I think it's just so cool where it's like, it's that mix of a feeling where again, it's at least 50% don't know the podcast, and I get to literally like introduce them to you, and then it's like, and they get to experience the full thing. It's cool that they get to meet you as a comedic person. And one of the JFL people, when we went to the room for all the little goodies, I saw she had a playbill in her hand, and I was like, oh my God. And they had seen you in Titanic in New York and asked for your autograph. And
that was very
so
sweet.
Cool.
It was very sweet. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to be recognized outside of you, outside of being Gianmarco's little buddy,
I just love that the two of us in 1 hour, in one span, we were hit on by a woman and a gay guy, and they both we disappoint women and gay men. That's our MO.
Everyone was disappointed. You know who else was disappointed? The people around us seeing us get photographs of people, and I could see in their eyes being like, "Who the fuck are these two guys?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And rightfully so. It's like it was this thing of like it was a small place, so you're like. I would wonder too, like, who are people taking these photos with this? You know what I mean?
But well, for our listeners, please let us know if you dig having a little Russell at the beginning of these. Again, we're only gonna have a couple without Russell. We're gonna mix them in. And listen, if you join this Patreon, patreon.com/downside, first of all, you're going to get these live shows. The footage is so great. It's beautiful. And you get the 2 bonus episodes. And the more we have ads starting soon. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. But ads, we'll try to make it fun. But the bottom line is the more patrons we get, sooner or later, we're going to get to a place where I can Russell can fly in. He can fly in and we'll record some episodes. And I'm going back to New York, but I'm just saying, the bigger we get, the more you get to see Russell.
I like that you just threw out like, hey, and we're gonna get ads to the audience like that they're gonna be like, hell yeah, more ads. But no, it's exciting for us, but what a bummer for them to know that now there's more ads.
What's so funny about comedy and business is we're like meeting with potential, ad people, and they're like, we're talking about what are potential products, and they go, oh, Blue Chew's pretty popular, and it's like in a business meeting, I go, oh, that's so funny. We've actually discussed a Blue Chew idea where we each take a Blue Chew, and whoever gets an erection first loses, and we're saying this over Zoom with all our team and our lawyers there, and that's considered work in our field. That's considered that's a business proposition.
Yeah, and they're like, they're like fun, and you're like, yeah, it is fun.
Wait, Russell, the Blue Chew's kicking in.
You lose, I guess.
All right, guys, enjoy this episode of the Beth Stelling. Love you, Russell. I'm so glad I get to share the road with you.
Me too.
Join the Patreon, and we'll be back. We'll be back soon. Bye, guys.
Soon.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
I did my first Waymo. I was in San Francisco, and I did a Waymo.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Did you?
I really liked it.
I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of things that I'm like not doing. One of them's Waymo. The other one
you think forever? How long is that going to last?
The other one's ChatGPT.
So it's the same thing to you?
I won't touch them, yeah. But I think that's so funny because it's like, it's like a grandparent being like, I don't know about this rock and roll.
Sure. I just don't get, especially since I can't drive, they have the wheel there and it's moving like this. And you're like, that's just for me. It's like when those, those pianos that like play and the keys go down.
That's what
it doesn't have to do that.
I think it does because it's a real instrument.
Well, if it's a real piano, but if it's electronic, some of that's for show. The wheel's for show.
Well, the key hits the string. The key moves the mallet, hits the string.
I can't drive or play piano, and that might belie my. But it's so nice. It's so nice. You're just there, and you're like.
Like if it was like I see what you mean. If it was Chuck E. Cheese, the mouth doesn't need to move because it's a speaker.
Yes, that's what I mean. We're and maybe for you, if the Waymo truly fucks up, you can dive in there, grab it. But I can't do that. So I'm like, get rid of the wheel. Give me some more leg room. That's what I want.
You can do that. The back seat, relax. You would just need to put down the front seat all the way flat, and then you can put your feet on top of it.
I see. They were having a problem. I guess people were fucking in the Waymos, and when you ride it, you go.
Ew.
It makes sense. It makes sense because you have no responsibilities.
Teens are gonna be banging in Waymos instead of in the forest.
I never
I'm from
never had
Ohio.
sex in a car. I
can't imagine that TV's made that a thing.
Really?
To say television and movies, because that is not a good place to have sex at all.
I think if you were raised maybe really religiously and you could not.
Yeah, and you would have fucked in a paper bag. Yeah, anywhere.
My dad, because I had divorced parents, and so my dad, I could have a girlfriend in high school sleepover. He had no problem with that. So I didn't need to do the car. And I couldn't drive, so it'd be really embarrassing to be like, hey, let's go in the car.
So he was letting you do whatever you wanted because he felt bad about his own actions, or?
No, he just was like a mix of, it's hard to know. Is it pure narcissism? Is it doesn't care? Or is it loose and fun? It's a mix of the two. But he was letting me... Yeah, I was having all the sleepovers there. I stay up till whenever, eat whatever the fuck I wanted. Stuff in retrospect that I go, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
I watched all the movies.
Kids like rules, particularly in retrospect. But having boundaries is a good thing. Usually the kid, you have to, if you accidentally had sex with someone who's a bad guy or girl.
Sure.
You got to rely on your kids' half of your genes to hopefully later realize that person is, an alcoholic.
If I had a kid, I'd go, if they wanted to have someone stay the night, I'd be like, I'd give them the talk.
Yeah.
I'd make sure we'd have the talks.
Yeah, I don't know. If they said, can this person stay the night? And I knew that they were going to bone, I would be like, no.
Really?
I think, I don't want to possibly hear that, but I don't know.
What was your house? This was, when you were a teenager, was it just your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was her
and
rules?
I was having sex in the basement, but I'd like to.
And you
think
regret
she
it
didn't
all?
know
There's
about that.
you look back at those basement years and you go, that would better to have not happened.
I guess kids are going to do it anyway. I don't know. I don't want to, there's probably some sort of middle ground. I didn't want to be the parent that's like, and here's condoms.
Mm-hmm. I
don't know. Maybe I would actually be that parent. I don't know. I don't have a kid that's boning. But I guess I would be the parent that said, here's condoms, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm trying to think. I know it'd be uncomfortable, but I think the life I would want to live is that there wouldn't be a moment where I go, here's condoms. I'd let my kids consume media where it'd be like someone makes a joke about a rubber and I explain to them. So it wouldn't be like a jarring when you're 14, I don't know what age, 12, 11, say, hey, here's what a condom is. I assume they would know.
Oh, I don't know.
It seems like you have a more conservative parent in you.
No, I know. Then I would. No, I definitely want to be very open and answer all questions.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be very clear what jizz does and when.
I don't know about the condom. Yeah. That's your thing. You're like, you don't know whether to bring up the condom. You'd rather talk about
I think that
the jizz sans condom.
It depends on if I have a guy or a gal.
Sure.
Because, if they have a penis, then I'm going to explain that the condom should be surgically attached to you. Like, no matter what anyone says, whether they say that they have whatever cysts that prevent them from getting pregnant, condom.
It's so hard because I've always been so neurotic that I always wore there's only 3 times in my whole life, 2 long-term relationships and 1 where she took it off quite quickly in a way that wasn't good.
Yuck.
But I'm fine.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm neurotic. It's not like I didn't get better teaching than other people. It's because I'm a stressed out fucking dweeb.
That's the thing. There's two camps: people with dreams and people who are reckless.
Mm-hmm.
And the people with dreams are going to be really careful with birth control. I think.
I was shocked how many people
Or
are not
pro-choice.
using condoms. I think I found out later in life. I talked to my friends. They'd be like, "Yeah," and then we had sex, and I didn't wear a condom, and I was like, "You didn't wear? Are you crazy?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, what are you talking about?"
It's not a good idea.
Welcome to the downside. My name's Gianmarco Soresi. I'm here in Spotify studios.
A fortress, really.
A fortress and run like a fortress. A lot of rules.
Yeah,
A lot of rules.
My arrival time was right at 11:30, but we didn't get in here until probably 11:45.
Yeah, but we're here now, and we're thankful to Spotify for everything. I'm in LA. Normally in New York, I have a co-host, Russell Daniels. He's not here today. Don't worry, he'll be back for the next episode. But I'm so for those of you who've never heard the show before, this place we complain, get negative. We don't have to count our blessings. We don't have to be thankful. We just look at the world as it is and be honest, like with friends. And I'm here with a newer friend, Beth Stelling, comedian.
We just met this year.
We just met this year. We were gonna meet. Thankfully, it didn't work out because our session got interrupted. We were gonna do it kind of the day that the fires were just raining down and your water was broken.
Yeah, I just didn't have power.
Yeah, you didn't have power.
My water did get a little messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fixed now.
It's fixed now. Well,
I'm very lucky in that I didn't have to evacuate.
yes. We'll talk to you about you in a second. I did want to bring up my complaint.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be slightly dated, but it's buggy. So there's some AI video, and it's a series of celebrities with a shirt that says it's like "fuck Kanye," but it's with like a Jewish star, and the celebrities are it's a star-studded AI. It's Jerry Seinfeld, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Zuckerberg,
But it's
Jeff
not really
Bezos.
them.
No, none of it's them.
Oh, okay.
But it's John Legend, and then the creme. It's Woody Allen. So it's this whole video.
Oh my God! I
and
thought he was dead. He's
you
alive.
thought Woody Allen was dead?
I guess just to me, yeah.
Really?
It's hard for me to keep track who's alive. Sometimes somebody will spring something on me, and I go, "They're gone."
Who recently?
So, this happened recently.
I can't believe.
I would love to tell you.
If Woody Allen had died, it would be
a gift.
Sure, it'd be a big news. There'd be a lot of pieces that would have to like do that thing where they go, well, we liked that movie though.
Yeah,
well,
we
this,
did.
and some people would criticize the title didn't say pedophile. Some people would say, that's what we.
Pedophile on his tombstone. Wow, what a crazy case. Anyway, okay. So
Did you watch
he's
that
alive.
documentary?
I did.
I've said this before. Having been through divorce, before I saw that documentary, I said, listen, I've seen custody battles up close. It is not unfathomable to me that someone would lie in a custody battle. There's a real motivation.
Yeah.
Then you saw that documentary and they show footage
Yeah.
of, I'm not saying this, you need to see, but it was just the girl Dylan, like as a little kid, like telling her mom like what happened. And it's within a second, you're like, oh, fuck, he did that shit.
Yeah.
And that was the one case, though, I think with a custody battle, I've always been more skeptical of all custody battles.
I know. And then sometimes, I don't know, footage will always be an interesting thing to me. Yeah, it's hard. We're trained to like, I don't know. There'll be like a video, speaking to your AI point that you're about to get to, there'll be a video of like, we're watching a woman walk along the street, then she picks up dog poop and then eats it, right? Something like this. And
Sure.
You're like, cool. But how would we be seeing this if it were real?
Sure.
But we don't live in a state that's like everybody's followed with a nice iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably CCTV started that we don't know about, but
Well, we're going to start losing, per my point about the AI, but similar to this, I think seeing that, in my mind, the way the Woody Allen case was always painted was like, it was like in a courtroom, some police officer said, "Did he do this?" And she said, "Mm-hmm." And so they're in my mind again.
Yeah.
I said, "Who knows? I don't know." And then you see, this is more like they're just talking in a room, and you see, and you're like, "Oh."
And you're wondering,
this.
did she get the camera out because she said it? And she goes, "Well, what did you just say again for proof?"
Sure, but again, it's like it's so not. It's real life.
Yeah.
It's just like in your gut, you're like, that's
Doesn't sound
real.
good. Yeah, and also the aftermath, which is their lives
Of course.
and what it did, and then him going on to marry the daughter. That was sort of smoke there.
Sure. Can I say though? I always think I go, well, their marriage has lasted longer than my parents' marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows what a good marriage. But I go, fuck, they're still
right.
together.
But I mean, he's the warden.
Sure. At what age do you go though? Some people
Usually people wake up if they have been groomed.
Mhm.
Usually people wake up and go, "Oh my gosh, I was groomed." And sometimes, like I've had a friend have that experience, and it wasn't until they were maybe, I don't want to over exaggerate, but 37, that they were like, "Oh my goodness," and got out. And
How long were they
left with a
together before
child.
that?
Up until from 18 until
Oh
37.
my God,
or
18 to
16.
37.
16 to 17 maybe to
Wow.
37. So yeah, it took a long time to wake up and go, "Oh my goodness, what they did was wrong."
Yeah.
Because I was a kid, and now we have a kid together, and I'm leaving this person.
Sure. Well, we'll see if they stick around. I'm sure he's close to Ted.
Right. She's
I
maybe
mean, for all I
just
know,
riding
by the
it
time this
out.
comes out, you were right,
Yeah.
and I was incorrect. But he was in this video, and I think Scarlett Johansson, like, it's an awkward video to come out against because you're like, I guess fuck Kanye, but this is bad. I think whenever these AI videos come out, which by the way, people make these videos all the time. This one just happened to go viral or is on the hot button issue. First of all, this video was released like the day after Kanye's rants, so it's like part of I go, guys, these AI videos, they're not going away. They're not getting worse. They're only going to get more realistic.
Yeah.
We need to shift the focus off this idea of like, we need to stop these videos. That's not going to happen. We need to focus on how fucking stupid are you to think that Mark Zuckerberg flew in for a video shoot with Jack Black and Jeff Bezos and Scarlett Johansson in a fuck Kanye shirt. It also, this is not great AI.
Okay, so
this is like getting mad at someone who drew a picture of a naked Scarlett Johansson. It's a stick figure, and being like, we need to put a stop to this. It's like, well, you can't stop that.
Right.
You can try to create a culture that doesn't, but you're the internet. You're always going to have the worst offenders making things. We got to focus on how stupid people are, and media literacy, and internet literacy. That's where we need to get annoyed.
Are the kids going to be like, instead of like, the old, like, can you name the difference? Is it going to be like, is this AI or real training kids growing up?
I ultimately think if the AI gets good enough, as they always purport it's going to be.
The AI will train the kids.
The AI will train the kids. But ultimately, I think we will lose video as a means of proof.
Yeah.
I think in the grand scheme of things, it'll be like, well, you can't trust video, and I'm almost like, better we speed along to that point.
Yeah.
There's going to be a period where people get tricked so badly.
Yeah. I know. If the scams are already happening just via email, imagine what people will be able to do with like a deep fake. Because it used to be like, oh my goodness, I'm falling in love with you. Here's a picture of me, and then like they copy and paste. I think that happened to somebody. They got fooled thinking they were talking to Brad Pitt.
Of course.
And their head was just like copy and paste. It was like really bad.
Someone
Photoshop.
used a bunch of someone on Instagram, this like a couple years ago, before Cameo, or they said, can you say happy birthday to my friend Jen?
Mm-hmm.
And I made a video, happy birthday, Jen. And that person was actually catfishing someone saying they were like a struggling actor, which I didn't appreciate, but using my footage and my headshots. And then that video was the real proof that they were me. And
yikes! I've only gotten a screenshot of somebody who was using my photo named Janelle on Tinder, but I've never been on Tinder.
Really?
So that was a good move on their part.
Sure.
I was never on there.
Someone sent me on Bumble. They were using a picture with me, like after a show, like as a like.
That's cool.
It was cool. It's very funny I never had success on dating apps to then be used
Yeah.
as like to help. I'm like, this is not good. I could barely do it with myself. So I just think sometimes with AI, there's a kind of screaming into the void. With Scarlett Johansson, particularly for this particular video, it's like, we need to do something about this. And I go, no, we need to deal with the reality as it is, not the world
things
that's
are too far gone.
It's over. Everything's going to get made. We have to decide how we handle it. And it's, to me, it's like a lack of understanding of like how unregulated the internet is. They can't stop child porn from being distributed on the internet. You think they're going to stop general AI program that lets people put celebrities' faces on whatever the fuck they want?
I know.
It's just not. It's you're out of tune with the way the world works. And if you think it can be monitored that way, that's a fascist. It's almost like a fantasy of like what kind of control you can have over people.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like to condemn North Korea for their policies about what they can and can't see or have internet or not have internet. It's like it's true. That's kind of like what she's saying, I suppose, which is like we need regulations. And that's why even when it comes to people, like, you know, I'm passionate about women's rights and women's right to choose. And it's like people who have these concerns, well, you shouldn't be able to do this. It's like, make it the human being's choice and then don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Worry about your choice. And if you don't want to do it, then you don't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if everybody was a little more, less restrictions, because you're not going to be able to, things will always happen. And more, I'll do what works for me. You do what works for you. I mean, when in terms of AI, that doesn't exactly apply. But I think, I mean, you know, like I said, I don't touch this stuff. I think it's funny to say that I don't use Chat GPT or whatever the other thing I said is, because
you said
Waymo, because I'm using it without my knowledge. I pressed agree to like 20 pages every day whenever I get into an app that's like, we've updated some stuff. I don't read that. I'm sure they're living in my body. I probably have like a little movie going on with a ride, a little family of people.
Do you ever have an existential fear with stand-up comedy of like, could it be good enough where I go, give me Beth Stelling's next hour, and it's like, and if you saw it and you said, oh, fuck, that's a really good hour in my voice, and it's how I'm feeling right now, too. I'm not saying it's there or will ever be there, but is there ever any existential dread of, like, and me too, of being taken, being lost, the thing that is our skill, being... You know, at the end of the day, it's like we still have to perform it, and that's the beauty, that ultimately it's us saying it. Right. But you know, there's going to come a place, certainly with lesser or less caring comedians, where, God, I can no longer say anyone's name anymore. You know, I'm close enough to like maybe I'll meet them one day. Let's say Seinfeld goes in and goes new Seinfeld hour, and it's like really perfect. Good. Then they might do it.
Like, who's they? You think that if Seinfeld put it in Chat GPT, you mean, and used it, or just
if he puts in, give me another hour,
he would be obsolete.
No, that he might use it.
Okay,
and then he's able to pump out, you know, and he'll space it out to give the illusion.
There, you know, comics who reach a certain amount of fame already use writers.
Sure.
So it's like, I mean, that's their choice. I get it. I guess I could say, because I'm not in that space, I condemn it.
Sure.
But if I were under a lot of pressure and people were like, we need something new, and would I agree to writers? I guess I'd have to.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I do still, from my little valley, condemn it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, it's your voice. It should come from your brain.
Of course.
But I could look like a superhero too if I had a team of writers.
Of course. I think I just, with the chat, I'm like.
But I'm like lone wolf about that. But
yeah, it's a lone wolf profession.
I don't have fears of what you're saying.
No
But of course
existential
it's
fears
possible.
about the AI.
Well, because I feel like that's sort of like, again, I don't want to. I don't know how to say it, because also sometimes like I was actually thinking about this on my way over because I did a podcast like I don't know a couple months ago when I was in a snarky mood, and it's like it just captures you at that moment or however you are. Like we're obviously
Sure.
affected by the fact that it's like raining and there was issues getting in for me and all the like your mood or did you sleep enough like. And it's always just a little. This is just a time capsule of how we felt coming in, where we'll go. Hopefully, we have so much fun we forgot about the beginning.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
go, okay, maybe you're mad at me because I'm late. It's like I feel bad. It's one of those things where you're like, It's all captured here and will live here. And then so when sometimes I live in that and I go, okay, it doesn't matter. It's a blip in time. Which is
Yeah.
what stand up used to be, because it would just be in a room, in a mic, the people were there, and it's gone.
I know.
And there was a freedom to that.
I know.
And now, like,
I've filmed fucking everything.
I mean, I would go to my shows in Chicago coming up in pajamas and no makeup, and I didn't have to worry about getting my portrait taken or a photo appearing the next day. Of course, bad photos were taking me during that time.
I fantasized Dangerfield. He used to live above his club, and he would come down in his bathrobe
Yeah.
and just perform. And I have my own little show where I wear my shorts and I sometimes wear my Uggs, and I love that feeling. I love the feeling of like not trying to put on something else.
Yeah, and now like everything's like when some of the guys who are being predatorial in our business during that little I guess it's ongoing.
It's gone now. It's done.
It's ongoing, but during
Cleaned up.
during that little blip, it's like the record was running so long they forgot it was running. Because a lot of they told on themselves a lot into these microphones and on podcasts every day because they lived on screen. So there is you don't have to worry about that if you're not doing nefarious things.
Sure.
But you can still I don't know. You can still like what's my goal? I come on here. I'm a comic. I want people to watch my special or come see me. And it's like, okay, so I should come here and like turn it on and be so funny.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm also just a human. I don't know. There's podcasts I did when the pandemic hit, and somebody was like, "This wasn't that funny." I'm like, "Podcast, everything's up. Go, be funny." It's like I don't know. So to me, you can't take that away from me. My moods, my variables.
So the reason ChatGPT doesn't scare you is because like you can be not funny whenever you want.
Basically. But yeah, I don't know if it said. I've had friends type in. I remember Jenna Friedman texted me. I think she said she typed in, "Give me a Jenna Friedman joke" or something into ChatGPT.
Oh sure.
And then I've also seen 2 comics since I've just been like around on the LA scene in the last couple months do AI stuff. Either use it or talk about it on stage.
Yeah.
Dane Cook was like having a conversation with some I forget AI voice person robot. I don't know.
Sure.
And then another comic was using it for their opening line. And they they said it. Like, I've been typing. I think it was Neil Brennan.
Sure. My dad sends me jokes from it. My dad's into it. He's someone who like he could have been an artist or he didn't have enough of an artistic outlet to like get it out of his system or just express enough. So he has these bursts where he like, and he's a little crazy too, but where he's like, oh, maybe I can do that thing. And ChatGPT, I think artificially gives the impression to him where he's like, oh my God, I can write a bunch of jokes. I could, one day we'll be able to make a movie. And he's always says to me, I want you to make a movie called My Wife's Boob Job. That's it. That's the log line.
Sounds like my dad. I'm convinced my dad is illiterate though. I don't know if you can even Google.
Is he? He's an actor.
Yeah, in Florida.
Yeah. And he considers if you said what do you do? He said I'm an actor.
He would say live roadside commercials.
That's honest.
Yeah.
And is he doing it right now?
I don't know. Probably he was out there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But my wife's boob job. It's like, yeah, that sounds like something my dad would say to me.
Did he?
Your dad's movie.
No, my dad's paid for some boob jobs. Has your dad paid for boob jobs?
I think she always had boobs. His wife definitely has had plastic surgery.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he paid for it or she did. I don't know if his street.
I don't think I
money-
can always tell. I mean, I can tell when like it's like,
You can tell she's
insane?
gotten work done. Yeah.
but boobs.
Her boobs, I think, were just not. That wasn't her issue. I think.
Sure.
Suck fat from other places. Because I remember her making me like when I was a kid. She like grabbed my hand and made me feel where the liposuction tube went in.
Oh my God.
It was
Where does
so
it go in?
weird.
Is it-
It was
is
like
it
a bump. You know when you have like get an ear pierced and it leaves a little bump. It's like
Mhm.
that's what it felt like in her belly.
Oh gosh.
Because we were like coming in the room, like, "Are you okay?" It was after her surgery, and that's it's so funny. Like you look back, she's been on some sort of, I don't know. Her actions are so interesting to me. Like, so you could have gotten plastic surgery anytime, but you did it when his daughters were visiting. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, so you weren't going back and forth. You were there for like a chunk of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
a month in the summer. It was terrible. Like so
Yeah.
long.
Well, you know how hard it is to make doctor's appointments. The next
Yeah, yeah,
available, and you're like,
yeah.
how old were you? When was this era of your life?
I don't know. I always say 9. Like that's my always general go-to. I don't
get
remember.
that. I get that.
I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I was 9, 4th grade, 5th. That's not 9, but maybe I was in 4th or 5th.
And how long would you go
12?
to your dad's in Florida?
Yeah, for like a month.
That's crazy. As someone who went back and forth, I always hear people who do that with divorced families, and I'm like, wasn't that so jarring?
Yeah, it was. I would. Yeah, you go there and you're calling your mom, dad, mom, and then I miss my mom so much. And Orlando's such a foreign place.
Would you call her once a day?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly. We definitely did phone calls, but she would spray her perfume on my little bunny so I could like.
Oh my
sleep with
gosh,
it.
really?
Yeah, I mean, I was really attached to my mom.
Because I was attached to my dad, and we would talk like an hour a day. And I found out kind of later, at least my mom says that he would call like in the middle of dinner or dinner time, that there was a little bit of fucking with them, which that's not great.
No. Adults are, when they do, like you said earlier with custody stuff, it's like I've seen some wild behavior.
I have this fantasy of like friends, like good friends, getting divorced with a kid, and I know this is not a good savior mentality, but I'm always like, I will tell them the mistakes that can be made. I'll be there and I'll go, you gotta be nice to your ex because for the kid.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true. And I even if I had a kid and got divorced, I know that I like to think I would be better. But you can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the other person. I mean, obviously we're sometimes the star of our own show, and we're going to be typically, if we're not dealing with like addiction or personality disorder or mental illness, you're typically you're on the right side of things.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with someone who's causing you problems or something, then I don't know. Usually that's the person that needs to.
And then there's my mom. So she said whenever I left my dad's house, she'd go like, "Oh, you're dressed like your dad." Like she would make like a comment that, looking back, you're like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't say that as I'm leaving the place.
Yeah, kids are doing their best. It's tough, and like I said, you kind of have to just rely. I agree, though. It's like, okay, my mom never said anything bad about my dad, and she could have in a really big way.
Never did.
And part of me is like, you should have.
Sure.
So I don't know.
And do you think that was just her code, where she was like, I understand?
I think my mom is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was doing her best, and that was to just, when we're with her, do her best and love us.
But looking back, is it like, oh, it would have helped me to understand a little more context?
I mean, we would have to tell, like, we would say, like, our stepmom drinks and drives us. And,
Oh my God.
And I think my mom really worried, but I don't know what she was able or willing to do. Like, she already lost custody, and she shouldn't have.
She lost full custody?
No, she had full custody, but I meant to say, like, we had to see him, and we should have never seen him again. But she was overpowered in court and didn't have the money that my dad's side of the family did. And they're not even, it's not like my dad's a science winner, but his dad, when he was alive, was a doctor. and I think pretty much funded the case and was able to use his power, particularly in the community, to get visitation.
What was
We should have never
9
seen
your
him
first
again.
summer there?
6.
6. So your dad basically, your mom had full custody. Your dad took her to court,
Yeah.
and then one joint or just one
One
long
visitation,
visitation.
rights, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, I keep on.
No worries.
my throat. Yeah, but I think I'm even this many years later being like, I haven't picked up his phone call in a long time. I had a little dust up with him in January because I saw him for the first time in many years, and he actually saw me perform stand up for the first time, like live.
Really? This is after your last special where you talk. I mean, you've talked about him in the specials, but
Yeah.
you.
He's
I
always
have
like
this
talk about
experience.
whatever you want.
You talked about him in the last special in a way that sometimes people will see my stand up and they go like, "Your dad sounds like I'd love to meet your dad," and I'm like, "Man, it's more complicated than that."
Yeah.
And the raccoon story, certainly there's a degree where it's like, this guy sounds like a blast.
Yeah. And to his face, like, he's always like, talk about whatever you want. But I'm snarky to his face, and that's kind of the way I deal with it. But, animals don't give notes. I mean, there's a reason that you feed animals and have them rely on you. And,
Sure.
sure. Because, and feel like they love you. But they want your food because they become reliant on you. So my dad does that with his wiener dog too. He always has a wiener dog, and he treats it like a baby, like brushes its teeth and wipes its butt and showers with it.
Wipes the wiener dog's butt?
After it goes to the bathroom, sleeps with it.
Wait, do dogs need to have? They don't need to have.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because a wiener dog, can it reach its butt? I don't know. I think so.
It's
So
not like the dog's
long.
wiping itself either. It just
I think
it just is.
I
It's
think
just
it
they
just
have a shitty
pinches the
butthole.
loaf off. Yeah,
Yeah. If anything, they rub on the ground.
I agree. Or grass.
But he's got a roll of TP and
Oh, I mean, I'm sure he's getting the best of wipes. He actually almost killed his last one because he would only feed it lunch meat, thinking like that was top shelf. Like, he's treating it like a little human being, and it's because he's not well, and he feels like he didn't get to raise us, and now he can do that with a wiener
he's
dog.
like enrolling it in lacrosse and doing everything. Just
Brushing
making
its
up.
teeth, yeah, talking to it. I'm like, because when I was there in January, he's like, you know why I do that? And I go, and I say, because animals don't give notes. And he's like, ha ha ha, I've heard you say that before. He goes, but its name's Joey. This new iteration of wiener dog. I think it's his 3rd or 4th. He's like, but you know what Joey is? And I said, a hostage. Like, I'm like, he's like, him. They don't like that. But I'm just sort of like, it's a dog that's should be just running free in a yard, and you're going chimp crazy on it.
Do you? So when you say hostage, like, are you looking for a fight?
I know. I think I poke him because he's so repetitive. Like, I've heard him say it so many times that I'm looking to shake
What's the
it
phrase
up.
again? He says, what does he say?
He'll be like, you know why I do that with Joey, and you know what he is, and it's like he wants me to be like, because you didn't get enough time with us as kids, so you're treating it like that's the answer.
Yeah,
I know the answer to all of his questions.
and he said that before. Like, that's his.
He's like a wind-up doll.
What do you
with
think
phrases.
he's looking? Because listen, my dad's
I think
repetitive in a way where I don't know if it's something else or
right.
or
My dad is so repetitive. It's like he has a pull string of phrases.
I always say my dad has his tracks and his monologue and
Yeah.
these. I mean, and it's infuriating. It's
Yeah.
it's excruciating.
Yeah.
Do you think he's trying? He just is that his version of wanting to be seen by you, or he feels sad and he doesn't know how to express sadness, so
I think
you take
yeah.
comfort in repetition.
I guess. Oh, I think his brain's rotting at this point. Like, when you don't have
Sure.
exchange and you don't know how to receive information and hear it differently, or if you're doing this, if you're just on a track, I'm like, I genuinely wonder if he could read a book. I'm like, well, I think he's deteriorating.
My dad's hundreds of books, has only read the first 3 pages, maybe the back, and quotes the book incessantly.
Really?
Eckhart Tolle. I'm like, you've never read an Eckhart Tolle book. You've owned 8.
That's
But it's
funny.
always like I was reading this book called like, Time is a Flat Circle. And I look at the book, it's called Time is a Flat Circle. And I'm like, well, you didn't read any of it. You're just quoting the title to me as if you took that away.
My dad doesn't even know how to Google. I'm like, if he could Google, I wonder if he would realize that his wife's dying of cirrhosis. I'm like, because I don't understand, like, or they're living in some sort of, like, I don't know, denial, I suppose, of the current state of things.
And does she, because my dad's a single guy, and I always like.
Is he on the prowl?
I mean, in like the worst, he's like on apps.
Oh, wow.
Probably lying about his age, saying he's 40 and he's 71. he's
40 to 71's wild.
He might go on dates sometimes, but he always said to me, he said he doesn't want to date women his own age because they remind him of his mortality. I'm sure there's no women. I mean, he's a good looking guy, but 71 is 71. And I think
Yeah.
it's different than when he was in his 50s and 60s. Like, I don't think there's a lot of 30-year-olds going on a date with him.
No.
But
I don't know. It's tough because I'm like, I've had one really good friend go on a date with an older guy like that. And I know her and she's a good person and she's a very sexual being. And I don't know, to me, there is some people out there who are into like, let me give you the best night of your life. So I think, but I don't know about
That's fine
dating and
as long as you're
partnership.
both in it.
But she's almost, I don't know, late 30s. So it's not a horrific
what are her
difference.
options?
Yeah, it's disgusting. No, but like, so that would be what, 40 years difference or something? It's still gross, but I think I don't know.
As long as, if I was a man, I think if I was an older man with money,
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't buy that the person liked me at all. I'd have to really feel in my heart
Right.
that they liked me. On top of whatever else, we all come to the table with
Right.
things, but I would be so skeptical and I wouldn't feel loved.
Yeah.
My mom was seeing a
I can
guy
see
for a
that.
little, and she said that she said to me, oh, he lied about how often he has strokes. Like, that was her version of like a dating app. Instead of lied about height, it was like he lied about, and I think this is when you date older, lying about your health
Right.
is a big lie.
Yeah.
Because you start dating someone, you're
That's
involved.
a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
I need to know if am I signing up to be a freaking healthcare worker here or?
Hearing my mom's dating life will inspire anyone to settle down
Yeah.
now, because just at that age, it's just that health stuff is a newer thing. Health stuff. How old are your parents? Are your parents going to move in with you?
I know.
Like, there's a new level of baggage above and below you, kids and
I think
parents.
I think I would rather be alone. My mom's alone. Or she's not. Oh, she's not lonely. She's got her.
Does
She
she
has a
date?
dog. She does not date.
Okay, so your mom has a dog, but that relationship is fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, she knows it's a dog. She's not like letting it French kiss her and stuff. And he stays on the ground. I mean, he sleeps at the end of her bed every night, which is cute. They're buddies. And sometimes my mom has referred to him as my brother, but other than that, she's got a healthy relationship with her
I
dog.
think it's so funny. It's only because I watched your special just leading up to this, that the way you talked about the raccoons, it was sweeter. It was more warmth, and I understand.
Yeah.
But it seems like you look at this, everything with this dog is such a manifestation of like his shortcomings as a dad, and his.
Yeah, I think it's because he's saying it over and over. Like, I didn't get time with you, and it's like, as a result of your own actions. I think he's lacking accountability. I think his brain is going.
Well, what do you do
And I
when
think
you
it's
can't get accountability? Per your point, if the brain is going,
Yeah.
I think with my dad, I feel like I gave up a long time ago. And I don't know what I do with the feelings still, but I'm like, there's no such thing as accountability here. This guy, what is he gonna say?
Yeah.
And I saw like he had terrible relationship with his parents, and it's like he he held on to that wanting something for so long, and it's like, well, it's too late. They're not even there to give it to you.
Yeah, isn't that so interesting? Isn't that's
It's like
just,
trying to
me,
get
that's
love from a dog. It's trying to get accountability from an older parent.
Sure,
It's,
but that's the key to everything. Is he had a horrible relationship with his parents, and so did mine.
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't. Did you think you broke the cycle, or, you know what I mean? Like with us,
Do you think he did better than his parents?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a low bar.
yeah.
Once,
But he was so abandoned by his parents in many ways, and they were so incapable of helping him. And it's like, but he still sort of idolized them, and so it's just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think he never really got what he wanted from his parents.
there is
and he won't ever really give me what I want, I don't think. But this is a recent dust up, which is why I'm being sort of colder about it.
sure.
Because it just happened in January when I saw him for the first time, and it was like, this is how you're interacting with me.
Yeah.
And I think other things became clear with his wife and him just enabling her with alcohol, but also, like, I don't, if somebody was like, oh, well, you say you're at a club one night and you're talking to a comic that you came up with, and you're like, well, because you and I were so competitive, and you're like,
Sure.
we were?
Uh-huh.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
you were, I was your rival?
Uh-huh.
For how long and when? I feel like that's what's kind of happening with my stepmother. It's like, you think I was competing for something? We were forced to visit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, when did you think it was a and you won the grand prize of a pile of shit. I'm so confused why you're fighting so hard. So yeah, I think that it's like me dealing with the way she was acting, and I'm like, I
Sure.
you could just ask me about my life and we could catch up. But instead you're
I wonder why she felt that. I wonder if maybe he made her feel that way. Maybe he kept talking about missing his kids to her.
Yeah.
And she saw it as like, step parents are a whole new bag of worms. I mean, my stepfather and I had the worst relationship. He was like the
Really?
antagonist of my life.
Really?
Oh my God.
Ugh, I hate that.
He was very strict. He just came from a disciplined world where men were men and women were women, and I was an East Coast, liberal kid.
Yeah.
And I think
That's frustrating for your relationship with your mom. Even the choices you make affect your kid. Like, that's the thing that can be so.
But being a step parent, the part that I think could be hard to see as a kid to a step parent is like, for example, I never saw how difficult my dad was making. I'm not saying this is comparable with your mom, but my dad was making their life in terms of alimony payments and custody and calling every meal. So in my mind, I said my stepfather is like is trying to take me away from my father. Meanwhile, my dad is being a troll. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think my stepdad, and then I also wonder psychologically where it's like, I think about, I had nightmares as a kid, and I would always go in my dad's house. I would just sleep in his bed, probably too close, but still nice at that age. And my mom's, I couldn't sleep in the bed because she's sharing it with this scary stepdad, but I'd sleep on the side of the bed. And I think about like
just on the ground,
on the ground right next to the bed, and I think about
spooning with the monsters under there.
Yeah. Luckily, it was one of those where there was no underneath the bed. I was like, thank
good.
God. That's what you need when you're a
Yeah.
scared kid. But I remember maybe twice where, in retrospect, I don't think I realized at the time, clearly I had interrupted a sexy time.
Yeah.
And I think about my stepfather, and I just have to imagine my mom being tough sometimes. And like it finally happens.
Yeah.
And they're about to hook up.
Yeah.
And then a version of her ex, a cuter, younger version, I had a nightmare, and just being like, God, fuck you, man. Fuck you. I hate you. And I think as step parent, I think they should be in therapy to share feelings they might feel, because it's got to be hard.
But I share them with I'm a fledgling stepmother, and I share those feelings with my
I forgot.
boyfriend. So I like do I am able to. I have complicated feelings sometimes, and I
How would
talk
you
with
describe
them,
like what is a complicated feeling?
because I had bad examples of step parents, and sometimes good. Everybody's not one thing.
Of
There
course.
are obviously good moments I had, and that I'm grateful for, but I would define them as like maybe once or twice. Like I don't really want to be a disciplinarian. I'm not loosey goosey like we're going to Chuck E. Cheese, but I'm also like there's maybe one time, again, this is a silly example because it's not like I disciplined him, but we were like at putt putt and he was like kind of banging the thing, and it just, my reaction was like, hey, stop that, because why
Sure.
would you do that?
Sure.
But
Sure.
this is also not my place. You know what I mean? Like, again, my boyfriend is not like
But
loosey-goosey either.
isn't there a curve of like gradually is it what are you a hat stand in the middle of the room?
Right.
You exist.
True.
And
I think it was the first time. I think it was
Mm,
the first, and this was like, I don't even know now, a year ago or something. But I think it was the first time he could tell. He was like, wait, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to tell me what to do,
yeah,
James?
yeah, yeah.
Again, it was like kind of a non-event. It wasn't that bad, but he was being a little shit because the day all took a turn. It was kind of like very hot out, and it did all take a turn. We
Yeah,
like
yeah,
went in
yeah.
holding hands and came out like, you know, islands. Um,
At a putt-putt game.
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm not like, oh God, I've traumatized him. It's just one of those things where I have complicated feelings where, oh, should I have not said that? That I don't want to be upset with me.
Sure.
But also, don't crack your freaking, what's this called?
A uh a club.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't crack your club on the metal railing. I mean, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And,
That's really interesting.
and also, they really didn't want to. They kept on like, like when their dad would take a shot, just like standing in the putt green. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Are we
Mhm.
playing the game or not? Like, and then like the ball would hit their feet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought we came to play a game of putt. So then I'm like trying to be cool about it, but also like, am I telling you to get off the green? Like, what's
Sure.
happening? But ultimately, too, I'm like, I am very aware. I want to be a nice, like a safe person, someone that they could talk to. It doesn't mean I'll never discipline them. I think as time goes on, that will be something that we really have to talk about. And if I'm around as much, but right now it's like we don't really have plans to live together.
Sure.
So
I feel
that's
like
going to
living
be,
together is definitely a different phase.
yeah. And like to your point, I used to bust in to interrupt sex. Like if I felt like something was gonna happen, they had to put a padlock at the top of the door because I like was basically like never touched my mom and very grossed out when they would kiss.
This your stepdad.
Yeah.
So
So I was like purposefully being a disruptor.
how could you tell that they were about to have sex? The
To
music?
be honest with you, I don't have any. Thankfully, I don't have any sort of like memories of sounds or anything like that. It would just be like whenever I thought they were alone in there, I'd like bust in. You know.
Yeah. And so then they added a lock. And you remember like opening and being like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
what?"
it wouldn't open.
Wow.
And then they'd be like, "Okay, 1 minute," you know.
And you knew.
I kind of knew. I didn't ever really know or think about sex maybe, but like kissing and
Mhm.
whatever else they could be doing, like that sort of the realm of that, like ugh.
Now
Like
they
it used to gross me out when they would kiss, like even in the kitchen, because he's disgusting.
I feel like I never saw regular intimacy between that married couple because I think my mom was like, at least from what I remember, like not into my stepdad, at least in the parts of my life I can remember.
Yeah.
And so he would do like a spank on the ass, and my mom would not look like pleased. But there was no like lingering kiss, not even in a gross way, but just two
Yeah.
people who love each other.
Yeah.
And then my dad almost never, kind of strange. My dad always like dated women where like, they had big fake tits and whatever. Like you could tell sex was they were hot to him.
Yeah.
Not to demean them, but you could tell sex was a part of like he saw these as these tall, he loved leggy women.
Yeah.
But I never for all my dad's thing, I never heard anything. I don't think they ever had sex when I was there, and I don't know if that was like his dad was a cheater, and even though my dad cheated, I never knew. And maybe he did it all when I wasn't there. And maybe that was his version of like, I'm not going to be my father.
Yeah.
He said that his father would drive him to a house and say, you wait in the car.
Yeah.
And he's clearly going in there and stupping,
Yeah.
So maybe that was his
That's
version.
very damaging to men. I've dated some of those, and it doesn't help with their intimacy,
Who've had those.
like your dad's experience.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that he has difficulty with a partnership or intimacy as well.
Your mom married your former stepdad
Yeah.
on your 9th birthday.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think they got a good deal on the venue.
And it was just time. That's why.
Yeah, and they gave me the top of the wedding cake, and everybody sang.
What do you
to
mean?
me at the wedding.
You were on? You was you?
Like they turned it into the birthday cake part. Was the top of their wedding cake.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they sing "Happy Birthday" at the wedding for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
At the time, do you remember feeling like this is not good for my psyche?
Yes.
You knew right then and there.
Yeah, and I didn't smile on the photos. I was sort of just being like a little brat, and who cares?
Come
Like, we
on,
didn't
that's
meet
fair.
him
You can be a
anyway.
brat.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
Right. It was all just sort of like, why is this happening? And yuck, and I don't know.
Is that the only? Because I've been to. My dad had kind of a fake wedding to a sort of stepmom.
And then what?
It was like it was for the ceremony of it, but it wasn't legally binding. She was pregnant, and my
That's amazing. It was just like, hey, we're getting fake married.
yeah, and it was like in the backyard, and it was like a tiny little ceremony, not like a invite, but like a couple family members. My step grandfather ran it, but he used to be a priest,
Okay.
and I don't know. Again, I can't ask him, but I don't know who it was for. I guess it was for her and her family to feel like
Yeah.
you're knocked up. At least we had a ceremony.
And did they stay together long?
No.
Oh wow.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact timeline, but I think she had the kid. Immediately upon having the kid, started sleeping in the basement, and my dad painted it as she came from a fucked up family, and the kid is re-triggering this trauma, and I'm pretty sure he cheated, and that was a big part of the moving to the basement.
Yeah.
And then one day she just
like, how dare you? I'm pregnant and you cheated type stuff.
yeah, and again, I don't know the exact timeline. For all I know,
I know it's tough to put it all together sometimes.
It's tough, and I don't know if he's ever said, "Yeah, I cheated."
a lot.
Yeah,
Has he ever admitted to cheating then at all? Because
I don't know if
when
I've
that
ever
would
fully
come.
confronted him on it.
Yeah. Does he listen to your stuff to know?
No, and literally, whether it's a mental thing or not, like he's seen my stand up here and there, but I literally don't think he can take it in.
Okay.
I talk about him
Absorb it.
cheating in my stand up. I talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It does it, and then he comes up and he's like, I have an idea for a joke. My wife's boob job. I'm like, I thought it was a movie, and
Yeah.
that's it.
I know mine doesn't absorb it either, which is why I question his ability to read. But it's like, did you hear what I said? It is my way of like processing things. I think sometimes, like my
Yeah.
stand-up. The last one about the raccoons, he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go over to his sister's. My Aunt Bex watch it, and then he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, what'd you think? He's like, yeah. I gotta watch it one more time. I'll see if I can go over there and watch it again.
Mhm.
I don't think he's like sitting down and receiving it and laughing, because I've talked about many of the things he used to say, the repetition stuff, and he like passes out business cards of mine that he makes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, he's like, can I keep doing that? This is one of the questions he asked me in January. I haven't picked up his phone call since, because the like I said, the interaction was so wild.
Yeah.
She was literally talking about their sex life at dinner. I mean, we're with other family members. And just sort of like pushing it. And I'm like, eventually I got up and I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I just didn't come back.
Yeah.
And then when I did, I said, this has been good. Good to see you guys. And I felt like this might be the last time I see my dad. And I haven't picked up since, because I'm like, you're sitting here listening to her do this.
And she's drunk.
She's not hammered, but yeah, 2 Prosecco's and who knows what she had before.
Sure. And
And by the way, he's told me and my sisters that she doesn't drink anymore. Like, that's the last we knew as of like 5 to 7 years ago.
yeah.
So to sit down at the table and have him order her those drinks, I was like, that was already number one. Like, wait, what's going on here?
So you're at a restaurant on top of this.
And he's already given the waiter my business card, which I didn't give, of course. So
Yeah. And just to be, what's on the business card? Your Instagram handle?
I think so. I'm like, yeah, my website or something like that.
And
then he's telling people like, and she writes for Chelsea Handler and Sarah Silverman. I'm like, no, I don't. I mean, I've written I was on I Love You America, but Sarah Silverman writes her own joke. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't tell people that.
Of course.
And yes, I wrote for the Critics' Choice Awards, but one or like whatever jokes of mine got in. What, 2?
Is there any part of you, and this is just from the outside, and again, I'm not saying, this sounds similar things with my father, so I understand, like, stop it. From the outside, I go, man, this fucked up guy is trying in the worst way to express that he's proud of you.
Sure. Well, and here's the thing. I think, people listening are like, what's wrong with that?
No, I think I think the listeners of this understand the weirdness, because part of it, it's not like he did this once and you were mad. It's like someone who has never taken in anything other than their initial impression.
Here's the interesting thing. It's like he said, it gives me meaning. It's my purpose in life. Can I keep doing it? You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
Well, I'm going to say no now. So I just said, sure. But he's also out. So he's been on the corner in like a morph suit and I posted that like with a sign for my special. He's done that. Like he's also, my aunt was like, he also was out there with a Trump sign. So I'm like, it's all kind of, that is very funny to me to be like, hey, Trump people, watch this special about abortion. What are you freaking talking about? Like, go ahead. I guess that's a fun little group of people to capture to make them press play on my special and then get to the abortion jokes and be like, oh, I don't like this.
Sure.
So I'm like, it's just all very odd.
What's a morph suit again?
It's a full body, like, like what speed skaters wear in the Olympics?
Yes.
Head to toe, except your face is covered.
So he's sometimes he had your special.
Yeah.
But then
he's also done Trump, apparently.
Paid or just on his own for the love of the game? For
the love of the game, because his wife, the quotes are like, again, for the Rapido stuff, it's like, because he'll say her name likes Rush Limbaugh and conservative radio. Mm-hmm. And that's why I voted for the businessman. And I guess he wore a Trump shirt to my aunt's birthday. She's very anti-Trump.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? So yes, to your point, it's like, is it for attention? Is it to be seen? A conversation starter to push against boundaries or something? I don't know, but why? So it's like, yes, maybe he's proud, but it seems so strange to have 3 daughters and vote for Trump and promote him. And somebody came up to a neighbor, I guess. I'm like, he's like, can I keep passing out your cards? I'm like, at this point, how many places do you go where you're now just handing out trash?
Yeah.
I go, aren't you just giving them to the same people that you see throughout the week? He's like, no. I remember, they're different people. It's like, I don't know if they are. Yeah. Because you go to Publix, Gold's Gym, and home. So I just am sort of like, I don't know.
Has anyone ever written you like, hey, I hadn't heard about you, and then your dad gave me your card, and there
definitely
now.
Has been feedback for sure. Like, yes, he ran into like a comic, like, oh my god, I think I just saw Beth Stelling's dad at the gym.
Yeah.
So there has been something. His neighbor though said, well, you didn't, because he doesn't get along with some of his neighbors because he can be a
sure, it makes sense. He's handing out cards for them too. And
he's
like, please stop this.
And his neighbor was like, well, you didn't even raise her, and he told me that, and he was like, well,
wow, that's fighting words for a neighbor.
I know. Well, I'm sure he's done plenty of things to.
Of course.
And I said, okay, like in my response to that, it's like I still have that little kid in me that feels a little bad. Like when he calls, I don't really want to leave my mom and go talk to him. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, to her, I'm like, and to him, I'm like, hi. Yeah. So it's like sort of like as a kid, I mean, there was always that idea that, I guess people pleasey stuff, but to get the love of your parents and to be supportive of them and take care of them. I think that's what it became for me. It was like, well, I'll just make sure he's taken care of, because he was always either people staring at him, or he's always wearing crazy outfits. He wears over the top Oakley sunglasses
Yeah.
everywhere. So it's like he's looking for something, you know?
I think sometimes these dinners, because I see my dad a lot less than I used to.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because my little sister, has taken on a huge burden.
Really?
Yeah, she's just there. She's closer by, and like, they've just had this, and he depends on her for so much, and she's nicer, and she expresses admiration for me taking care of myself in a way where I go, oh, I think I'm being a selfish cunt. Like I think what you're admiring is not me setting boundaries. It's me. I'm a selfish person. I'm not going to derail my life for a guy who I view as crazy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, knowing that if she ever took my tack, then we'd have to worry about is the house going to burn down? But those dinners, as I've had space, it's almost made it even worse because I go to dinner, and after 1 hour, I go, yeah, that's why I got the. I'm not even numb to it. I'm just like, I'm triggered. Everything is triggering. I go, oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So you go to this dinner, card's already starting. You're already you're with your both sisters, so it's a full family thing.
No, I was alone.
You were alone.
I was on the road with Sarah Silverman down in Florida,
Uh-huh.
and so this is the first time he saw me play the Hard Rock in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
And I did jokes about him,
Sure.
which he loved, of course.
Dinner after or before?
The next night.
The next night.
Yeah. So the show ended up being okay because I only saw him for like 10 minutes and my aunts were there.
Uh-huh.
But the dinner took such a turn that my aunts were like, let's hang afterwards to decompress.
And it's his sisters.
Yeah. And they were like, that was so awful. I was there something I could have done better? I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, she's graphically talking about my dad's penis and sex.
How did it come up?
They were talking about how they see a nurse practitioner. My dad made a joke about she was the one to give him his first anal exam or something. What's it called? Prostate exam or something like that?
Yeah.
And then my stepmother starts mouthing things to me, just trying to get me, like about how much, she's like, he loves it.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, because I'm not going to be alone with that. She's just trying to look at me across the table.
Yeah.
I go, why don't you talk to, we're with like 4 other family members.
Yeah.
So I took it to the table. Because I'm not being, that's like, to me, honestly, if I'm going to be exaggerative,
Sure.
that's like weird incestual child abuse. If I'm still the child and you're the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, does it make you uncomfortable to think about people at our age having sex? I go, no, it makes it uncomfortable because it's you telling me.
And it's back to the competition thing where I think there's like, if we're going with the full fucked up, if we're going with the full Freudian, like you are the sexual competitor. It's like, hey, I know this sexual thing about your dad, and it's like it's putting all of her shit onto you in that moment. But that's what I imagine.
And she's drinking.
And she's drinking.
I mean, like we are lucky that.
And then you bring it to the table, and she goes, "Okay, I'll play ball."
Yeah.
Is that her? She's like, "I'll go further to the whole table."
Yeah. Then she just took it up a notch, and that's why my aunt was like, "Was there something else I could have done?" That was like, because they're going like, this is so odd.
Yeah.
And my aunt's husband is great. I gave them a ride home, and because I had a rental car, and I just was like, oh, bye. He was being very funny, like, because she's in a back brace, and I was like, is doggy style when you just fall and lay there? I mean, I'm just sort of like, I'm sure, like my uncle, he's my aunt's second husband, but he's great. He was like, when you have a healthy sex life, you don't need to like say that at a dinner with your family.
Sure.
He's like, I wonder if the back brace has lace. It was just being funny. Like we were able to like kind of decompress afterwards, but it's like, what was that? You don't see your child in like 7 years because for a good reason, and that's the And when I talked about it with my mom, she was like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Like they could have asked you about how things are with Adam and the kids and your house, and I mean, I think. What? Oh yeah, the fires had just happened. Like
sure,
you know what I mean? There's so many things to be like, or I'm on tour. Like my aunt had just before that asked, like, what's the farthest you've ever been? And I'm telling them about that, like that trip.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like it could have been that. I play for the U.S. Women's Masters field hockey team. Like, ask me anything.
Yeah.
But, like, and by the way, that's not for me. I don't need to talk about it. I just mean like, If you haven't seen your child in a long time,
Of course.
why don't you ask them what they're up to? And then I could tell you, how are
Yeah.
things with you? So it was just like,
Yeah.
was that dinner good for you or
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. My
Sorry,
dad
this
will
took
do
a
that thing where it's like
this-
it wasn't fun, but he's like, I want to see my 2 children, and I'm like,
Why?
why?
That's to your point. I left that going. My aunt kind of had a real conversation with me, like, well, what happens when something happens to either of them? And I said, I don't know who would come down and help. I don't know I mean, it sounds cruel, but like in terms of like what should have happened when we were kids, if we're nowadays, like we really, especially with what happened with my parents, we should have never seen him again.
Sure.
So it's very indicative of how we've all gone on to be adults, which is chosen abusive men at times in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, that's not a shock if we were literally by the court order to go see an abusive man.
Sure.
What'd you think was gonna happen? Like
Mhm.
it was like if it wasn't already, I don't know, our fate set.
Yeah.
Then it was in stone when the court was like, yeah, no, go see him.
Yeah.
And I think he had this sort of cosign from his father, who was a doctor, to be like, we'll help, we'll oversee it all. But I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I just think it's like one of those things where I'm like, I at this point don't feel bad, to your point, where to take care of myself. And it's interesting because I knew that sooner than my older sisters, and I think that's been a weird thing to face. Them going, you were right in 2017 to stop talking to him. And we're kind of...
And you're the youngest.
Yeah.
Why do you think you saw it sooner than they did?
I think because I had my probably abusive situation sooner than they did.
I see.
And his reaction to it, and me knowing like this isn't someone I want in my life.
Yeah.
And then whatever you want to call it, psychologically or within your biologically, like, well, I'll just keep trying and I'll give him another chance. And
Yeah.
that pull to like want to have a relationship with your father, like the grand
Of course.
scheme of things. But I think at this point they're like, sorry.
Sure.
So, anyways, we processed some of it. I suppose I haven't talked about it really much
Yeah.
because I've been trying to figure out how I feel. It's all a lot.
Sure. I think sometimes with my dad, I know how I feel, and then I go, so what? You're just he goes, he dies at some point. Like
I know.
there's just
I don't want to be so disconnected, but sometimes it's healthy to be disconnected because it's like, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. There will be no resolution because I don't think he can have a conversation.
Sure. I think it's I'm post resolution. Okay, so what makes me feel? There's a version where I go, and I don't think that's possible. And I also have my sister.
Yeah.
And I know she would never. And so I'm like, why? I talk with my girlfriend sometimes. I think we both sometimes have a mentality of we're both ambitious people, and we're like, well, our offering is money. And financially, I'm not at a place right now, but I think in my mind it's like I will be the one who will pay for the home.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way I go, that is something.
Yeah.
And then in another way I go, that's not real. My dad gave me love through financial things, and I know from that I'm like, that's not
okay. Yeah.
or that's you write off and then
but
you're
be giving it back
free
in a way.
Sure. I got how I gave.
Yeah.
A nice home, a real nice home.
Yeah.
I'll let him pursue the arts the way he let me pursue the arts. Well, let's go on to our. It's so weird doing this without any producer because it's like if we left and they said, "Oh, you were in that room? Oh, we didn't record any of that," and I go, "Jesus Christ!"
All we did was give each other a therapy session.
Let's go on to our next segment. This has got to stop.
Okay.
Do you have something that's got to stop?
Yes.
Yeah.
This has got to stop when someone whether you're at a hotel or visiting somewhere or in a home or at a new location visiting, and somebody goes, "Did you see the ghost yet? Did you see him?" Stop. Leave me alone. No, I didn't see the ghost. I don't want to know about the ghost.
Sure.
I barely looked at the art in the hotel room. Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about the ghost. And don't tell me anything more.
Uh-huh.
Why would you do that to me?
Is this hotels or homes?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Somebody
Now,
just...
I'm not a believer, so I would go, I don't like to, I go, no, I didn't. I have to fight that. So no, I didn't because there was no ghost. And then everyone hates me. But would you want to see the ghost?
No.
No?
I want to not know about it. To me, that's like, did you find the dead body under your bed?
Yeah.
What?
Sure.
Why tell me that it's there? Did you hear the raccoons scratching within the walls? It's like, I didn't. But now I'm going to be listening for it, you ass.
I get that.
I don't want to be scared wherever I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to know a story that's horrific that happened in the room I'm staying in.
I feel so safe in hotels. It's probably an illusion.
Yes.
A lot of things have happened in hotels, but I feel pretty safe in them. A condo?
Do you make sure you have an exit route if there was a fire and you walked out of your room?
I've never given it a thought in my entire life.
Yeah. You need to be able to walk out of the room in full blind smoke and know where that exit door is and walk down those stairs.
You really think every hotel what do you go? Do you go to the stairs? You go to the stairs.
Yeah,
What
but
else are you
it's
gonna
going to
do?
be pitch black because it's going to be all smoky and you can't break through
Have you
that
been
window.
in a fire?
No.
This seems like I've never heard that. Okay, I'll start looking for an escape
Although
route.
Mike Birbiglia, his whole, what am I trying to say? Penultimate stories. Is that the word I want? Is about walking through that La Quinta window.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe you could break through it. Although they seem so unbreakable.
I mean, you'd have to really try. I've never fully given it a go.
Maybe a desk chair.
Sure, I think you could do it.
Depends on the hotel and the floor.
But
But yeah, that's got to stop. I don't want to know about the ghost. Don't tell me a tragic story. No, thank you.
no, thank you. This has got to stop. This is a comedy specific one, but if we're doing pictures after the show,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm starting to curve back and coming out. I just can't. I'm dying inside. I enjoy it, but 2 show days is too much. We take a picture and then you say, "Okay, now a silly one." I just gave you a full fucking comedy show. I gave you all the silly I got. You want me to come up with some, and then in my mind, the way that I work, I go, well, I gotta think of an original silly one. I can't just go, that's hack. And now I'm in my head going, fuck, I gotta come up with this shit. I'm done.
So you're talking about an audience member.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I'm
Well, now
tired.
they
I'm
also
tired of
have you
silly
on-
one it's silly one in general. I'm like, what is that? You stop creating an artificial thing. I want more pictures that reflect how we were in this moment. Sometimes we need every picture to be, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just come as you are. If you give a little smile. Don't give your worst.
No.
If you're feeling constipated, I don't need to like see that in your face. But like a silly one. We're all gonna pretend that we're this thing.
Yeah, now they have a silly one of you on their camera roll as well.
Yeah.
I do afterwards I just do selfies because I have a long arm and I'm really good at it. So I go,
Of
next,
course.
here you go, next, here you go, like that.
I'm gonna start doing that.
It's the best but here's the thing, to your point, because also lighting at a club, I'm not like a very vain person. I'm a human
Some of the
being, and I
lighting
would
is
rather there not
dreadful.
be a photo of me with the lights. Like, what are those called? Recessed lights that are like,
Yeah.
it's basically like, do you want to hear a scary story? So I just say, come over here, and I get a nice one. I use the recessed light on our face like that and try not to block it with the phone.
Yeah.
And it always comes out great. And then somebody, like, sometimes in their party will be like, well, I'll get one too. It's like, no, I just got it. And it'll be like from there, and they'll like do the thing that, why are people doing it? They act as if this is a thing.
Yeah.
Instead of going up or right by your face, they're going here at your hip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who's made anyone think that has ever produced a good photo? They're acting as if it's some sort of secret hack.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You made us look terrible. Recently, one of the worst photos of me and my best friends ever taken was at Dynasty Typewriter where someone going like this with the and it was a gal. I'm just over here going, do you hate us? Why would you
That's
take
very
that at the
funny.
hip? It's not a hack. It
Yeah.
looks terrible. Please go up.
Go
Or
up.
just right at my face.
I'm gonna do it.
instead.
I'm gonna start taking the phone because
Take the phone.
the worst.
It's also faster.
They'll take a selfie and they're happy, and then the security guard, God bless him, goes, "Do you want me to take the free?" And I'm like, "We already got it.
Yeah.
We already got it."
No, we got it. Yeah, but still, somebody did that this weekend. I got the one with them, and then their partner took one, and then that's the one they tagged me, and I was like, "Well, that won't be reshared because we look terrible, like I told you we would."
Yeah.
Just as if I told you. Leave it to me. I'll take the selfie.
Final segment. You better count your blessing. Do you have a blessing that you want to share?
Well, I guess I could just dovetail off of what we said, which is I was in Portland at Helium this last weekend, and my Portland fans are the sweetest people on the planet. They gave me gifts that were adorable. I don't ask obviously for anything, but they came bearing gifts. I got a couple of beautiful letters from people.
That's nice.
I just felt very fortified by those fans, and I am deeply grateful to have them share why they were there or why they liked it, or, just some people celebrated their birthday with me. Some people came with friends and brought new friends. Just sort of the sweetest things,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I need you to pour your heart out to me. Of course, if I was, for example, to help you through a hard time, that's great. But this was more like, thanks for coming, and I came here to celebrate my birthday.
I have gotten a couple, like, I had the knife to my throat.
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh no.
And you're like, oh, God, dear Christ, that's
I know.
Your emotions. First of all, how did my little crowd work thing where I called someone a bitch, like, you're like, okay,
it brought
another
you back
day
from the brink.
and then you sometimes there's so much you just like it.
I was gonna say sometimes you could just be like, you can also do stand-up comedy. You have my permission. But no, like, a beautiful letter that was just sort of like, I came for my birthday, celebrate, and thanks for sharing your stories, or I really relate to this, and I like the human connection. One of them baked me a loaf of bread marked with a B.
Really?
Yes, and then some other gal brought us chocolates, and just somebody made me a candle, a cute mug, the sweetest things, a magnet.
A magnet?
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
And she knows I'm a germaphobe, so she was like, I never touched the bread, and when I did, I washed my hands. And it was like wrapped in this cute little kerchief.
Did you eat it?
The sweetest people. I ate it.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Yeah.
What kind of bread?
Sourdough.
Oh.
It was delish.
That sounds nice. My blessing is I was at the San Francisco Punchline. We did 12 shows, and I was very thankful for that.
12 is crazy.
It's crazy.
I think I only do Wednesday, Thursday.
We added the Monday, Friday. Tuesday. But I was prepping. I'm taping something this week, so I was like, let's do it. But my God, to have the hotel room that close to the club, there is nothing better in the entire world. To be able to be able to be in my hotel room while my opener's up, and go 10 minutes into their set. Oh my God!
Yeah, you just walk right over and up the stinky
it feels
stairs.
Amazing. So I really like that club, but God, do I love being that close to the hotel.
I know.
My God. I think sometimes when I've done like Jacksonville Comedy Zone and you're in the same hotel as the club, sometimes that's a little too close almost.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to cross the street, but cross the street. Perfect. Yeah. Beth, where can people find you?
Beth Stelling.
Oh my God. The way that you said Beth just now,
.com.
I'm not good with names. And I was like, no way. I'm like, you said Beth? And I was like, oh my God, are you serious?
I'm Stephanie.
Who
are you?
You could see my anxiety spike. BethStelling.com.
Yeah, I just Beth Stelling on Instagram is the only one I really use. I'm getting old these days. I've never really locked into the TikTok thing. I think that somebody signed me up, and sometimes I still try to post there, but the interface is so small.
I didn't mention it yet. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside, patreon.com/downside. 2 bonus episodes every month with me and my co-host, Russell Daniels. We have some more live shows coming up in March. We just announced Austin. We're at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival doing a live show.
Cool.
And we also have tickets still available for San Diego. Check that out. This weekend, I'm at the Sacramento Punchline, which you are at this weekend. And
oh my goodness, I'll leave you a note.
Oh my God. Sacramento Punchline, then Downside Tour, Tacoma Comedy Club, and Spokane Comedy Club, end of March, Patreon. And check out those Waymos. Let me tell you, if you are a stepmom who likes to drink, maybe try a Waymo. This is the downside.
Would have been safer.
You're listening to The Downside
The downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.